Is Oswald Cobblepot literally a penguin man in Tim Burton's adaptation? Where did his mutations actually come from? And what is that dark green liquid that flows from his mouth that much? This video answers these and other fascinating questions related to Batman Returns. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up, it means a lot to me. The penguin is a bird that cannot fly, but he is a man, and his name is Oswald Cobblepot. He never blamed his parents for abandoning him as a baby. Can we condemn a person who, being afraid of unknown physical deformities, watches as his child squeezes a toy not with 5 fingers, but with a shiny flipper? Yes, these are all Oswald Cobblepot's own words said in interviews with journalists, and this all was a lie from the beginning to the end. First of all, he hated his parents for what they did, and most likely he has something to do with their quite mysterious death. Second, Oswald Cobblepot doesn't actually consider himself a human. He is a penguin, and he's perfectly fine with that. Yes, remember Oswald Cobblepot's main goal upon returning to Gotham? He intended to kidnap the firstborns of Gotham's most influential people so that they would share his fate of a child once abandoned and screaming in the dark. We also know that previously, while touring with this criminal troupe of circus performers, Oswald was involved in the disappearance of children in different small towns. Many of these children became part of his criminal troupe. In other words, he literally raised many of them, just as he raised many penguins faithful to him. It's worth mentioning that many penguins obey him without mind control devices. He calls these penguins his children. Yes, of course, we remember that initially these were penguins who raised him, and we can look at Oswald Cobblepot's global goal from another interesting perspective. What if kidnapping children is not a way to take revenge on the society that rejected him? What if it's another instinctual behavior of penguins, which Oswald in many ways physiologically and psychologically is? Indeed, it's characteristic of penguins, especially emperor penguins, to kidnap other penguin chicks when they cannot find their own, and their parental instinct makes them believe that these others' children are their own. And Oswald has many children. So what Oswald Cobblepot is, and why do I believe that in Tim Burton's adaptation he's not just a man born with a number of genetic deviations, but literally a penguin man? In the film, there are 2 fundamental factors that reveal Oswald's true nature. The first one is related to his birth. Oswald's inborn genetic mutations horrified both medical staff attending birth and father of the family. 33 years after his birth, Oswald will appear before the audience in all his glory, where we'll be able to see the main peculiarities of his appearance. Syndactyly, which is the fusion of fingers, is one of the notable features. In Oswald's case, it is the fusion due to the merging of soft tissues. This is not only the feature of Oswald's hands, but also of his feet, which is evident by the efforts he puts to walk. Additionally, in some shots we can see that one of Oswald's legs is more deformed than the other. At times he seems to limp slightly. Yes, this feature will become a signature of all the penguins' adaptations. Another Oswald's inborn feature is presumably ectodermal dysplasia. This is a group of inborn features expressed in deviations in the formation of organs, the nervous system, epidermis, teeth, and other things. Let's assume this is true. Could these Oswald Cobblepot's congenital genetic traits have turned him into a penguin man? After all, Oswald's hands are not just hands with fused fingers, he calls them flippers, and like a real penguin, he excels at swimming underwater with their help. Oswald's entire anatomy, as strange as it may sound, makes him an excellent swimmer. The film shows this in these scenes, and it's also a part of Oswald's story behind the screen. When investigating Oswald's past, Bruce will find notes saying that the highlight of the circus performance where Oswald took part was a mysterious waterfowl boy. So from a young age, Oswald amazed audiences with his underwater swimming skills. Now let's pay attention to Oswald's fat reserves. Where could they possibly come from in a person who's constantly on a keto diet? In Oswald's case, this means eating only raw fish. After all, if a person eats only animal proteins and fats, they should be losing weight, right? And do you know who can maintain their weight and build fat reserves while on a carb-free diet and relying solely on animal fats for energy? That's right, penguins can. Thus, it turns out that Oswald's physiology has literally become similar to that of a flightless marine bird. Moreover, his fat reserves anatomically make him look even more like a penguin. Note that his arms are visually lowered in relation to his neck. Well, in penguins this is due to skeletal structure. In Oswald's case, this visual perception is shaped by his fat reserves. These reserves certainly make it extremely uncomfortable for him to be in warm environments. He prefers habitats with sub-zero temperatures and absolutely loves icy water. And he didn't choose Christmas Eve for his public appearance in Gotham by chance. The summer heat simply drives him mad. Oswald's fat reserves look like an air balloon because the film crew had to reduce the weight of the costume so that Danny DeVito could move more comfortably in it. Another interesting physiological feature of this Oswald is his increased salivation with dark green saliva. From the comments of the film's creators, we know that this saliva originally didn't have any anatomical significance. They just thought it would make the character look creepier. However, in some way the creators hit the spot. We know that some penguins have trouble digesting solid food, and therefore they swallow stones to help their digestion grind up that food. I don't really think Oswald swallows stones, so this green liquid, which flows out of his mouth a lot in his death scenes, could be nothing other than digestive juice. In some birds, it is indeed green. So producing so much of digestive juice is a biological compensation that helps Oswald digest solid food better. And another crucial thing that literally makes Oswald Cobblepot a penguin man is his agility. Yes, we know that penguins can jump excellently on land when necessary, and this penguin man jumps remarkably well. More than that, Oswald, like penguins, has quite strong muscles which will make Bruce sweat. So now we've gone through some of Oswald's physiological features that literally make him a penguin man. For sure, not in detail, I understand, but in general, yes. So could the reason for such changes be those very inborn genetic traits? Of course not. There was something else. Something that Oswald himself mentioned multiple times throughout the film, something that has long been commonplace in fantasy films, and not just films. Of course, I mean the toxic waste that Gotham magnate Max Schreck's corporation regularly dumped into Gotham sewers, the sewers where Oswald spent most of his life. It was the effect of toxic waste that made him resemble the species he interacted with in the early years of his life, the species that raised him. Oswald is a genetic mutant whose mutation was enhanced by this toxic waste, and the impact of toxic waste is the second factor that makes Oswald a penguin man. I've already said that the first factor was his birth, but the main part here is not in his inborn genetic peculiarities that had changed his physiology even more under the influence of the toxic waste. There was something else, something that contributed to Oswald Cobblepot being born a predatory creature. Of course, it's otherworldly forces. Most likely, it's the same forces responsible for Selina Kyle's transformation into Catwoman. Many believe that there is nothing supernatural in the origin of this Catwoman, but it is not true. The entire film constantly reminds us of this until the very end. Batman Returns is a gothic fairy tale, a tale where dark forces exist. And this is a crucial detail that from the very beginning indicates that Oswald Cobblepot is a born predatory creature. This is exactly what frightened his parents after they saw him tear apart a cat that accidentally got too close to his cage. But in any case, everything said in this video is, as always, my subjective opinion regarding the nature of Oswald Cobblepot in Tim Burton's work. Comment what you think about it. But in any case, the story of the penguin is not a story of human fear of the unknown. It is a story about how sometimes all one wants before death is to drink plenty of icy water. If you like this video, don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up and share with your friends. It means a lot to me. Bye!